Hello, and welcome back to episode 3 of A Gentleman's Agreement.
Huzzah!
So this episode is called Diamond in the Rough. So we're kind of going to be
title.
going to be looking at things like most underrated things, kind of positive news stories. I think last episode was a little bit of a
Negative.
downer.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about money and stuff. But if you haven't listened to us before, we're basically just doing a podcast about talking about absolute rubbish, really. Everything and nothing. So a lot of interesting facts, but then going off on completely irrelevant rants.
Exactly.
But so first part, we were both looking at things that we think are underrated in, I don't know, today's society, but just like things that kind of
Get overlooked.
when you talk about the things that make life sweet.
Exactly. The little things.
I'm interested. Give me one.
Okay, so this is my first one is long car journeys at night.
Oh,
I love it. It's one of my favourite things. I feel like everything just feels right in the world when you're like in the back of a car, it's dark outside, the street lights are like, I don't know, hypnotizing. I don't know. I love it. And I feel really calm. I think it's the calmest I ever feel in those situations, because you literally cannot do anything apart from chill out.
And like headphones in, and then like looking out the window pretending you're in a music video.
Exactly, feeling like you're important.
When you first started saying, oh, long car journeys, I was like, no, I can't stand it. But then when night makes it completely like, oh yeah, that actually is nice.
Exactly, it's at night. Like in the day, it's like, oh, it's sunny outside. You can see everyone moving about. You want to get out there.
It's hot, it's stuffy, like claustrophobic. But at night, it's kind of like peaceful.
Exactly.
That's true. That's a good one.
I love it so much. And when you kind of drift in and out of sleep, and like whoever's in the front two seats, like your parents are having like a low conversation, and
you can join in if you want, but you can also kind of just laze back.
You just lay back there.
I wish like all traveling was at night, because that is my favorite time. Like I've had coach journeys before, and I've done the same trip during the day, and I've just felt like uncomfortable and like sick.
Horrible.
And I'm just like, I hate megabus.
And then
like
heat.
I've had it at night, and I'm not even necessarily sleeping, but I've just the trip has gone, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing by the time you get there. Mine, I don't know, I've just made a long list of different things, and then I even asked people because I was like interested to see what they would think. But my first one was the meal deal. And I don't know if it's necessarily underrated, but I just started thinking about it like in detail, and I was like, value for money wise, it is exceptional. You go through a self-service and you like scan the different items, and it doesn't like include the deal yet, so it kind of tots it all up, and it's like £7, and then you're like, you press like end, and it goes to like
it's
3, and you're like, I have saved. And like you go for things you wouldn't normally go for. Like when I have a meal deal, I get some jazzy drinks, like the fruity smoothies that normally cost like £4 themselves. So you get it like in the deal, and you feel like, I'm really making the most of this meal deal.
I do a meal deal just for the innocent smoothies sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think the range of sandwiches they have now, like it's not just sandwiches, baguettes, wraps,
pasta pots,
and you can like have sweet treats instead of the crisps.
I always go for crisps.
And also, it's just like whenever you're like traveling somewhere, it's just an easy thing to grab. Like if you haven't got time to like sit down or like make food, you can just meal deal, because it is like it's not just a sandwich alone. It's an experience. It's an experience. A sandwich alone isn't like filling enough, I don't think. So I like having the sandwich, a meal, and then also a drink to wash it down, because I can't eat without a drink, because otherwise I will choke. Which I think is my fault, because I don't chew food well enough. But
you should really chew.
I know, but I'm just lazy, and I swallow and it gets stuck in my throat, and I'm like panicking. But because of the meal deal, I have a drink and I can wash it down.
So you can live.
Yeah, and like the quality, I've had some like, I love the sandwich taste. Yeah. Like I've had sandwiches where I've like gone to a restaurant and bought the like club sandwiches and stuff like that, and
they're
like,
way drier.
They're not always any better. No, like, and they're like twice the price. You don't get the crisps or the drink included,
and you don't get to eat it wherever you want.
Exactly. And
which is your favourite place to get a meal deal?
Well, this thing, it depends, because my normal top one is the chicken, bacon and lettuce from Tesco's.
Okay.
But then recently, because of work, I go to Boots, and you can get the chicken triple, so you get the 3 sandwiches.
Oh my God, 3 sandwiches?
So like, as in, not like 6 bits, like 3 halves, so it's like 1 and a half.
Okay, yeah.
But then I feel like I'm getting more, because it's the same price as like for 2 sandwiches. And then, so I do like that. but then also Sainsbury's does do a good chicken salad because it's like slightly peppery. They've seasoned
I like
it
the
well.
Sainsbury's one.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels a bit cold on my teeth. But
we should do a whole podcast where we like come up with the perfect
meal deal selection.
Yeah.
Oof, I would love to research that. I feel like I've been researching it my whole life. But I thought that was one of them.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
Have you got more than one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let's
Okay, I think small intimate groups are underrated. Why does it sound so creepy?
Yeah, I was like, yours are all a bit like sort of like long car drives at night. Group of really close friends.
Huggles. No, it's I think because every time you go on an event, you always usually get people like how many people are going, like finding out who's going to be at like a prees or at going to the pub. And if there's like less amount of people, often people feel put off to go. But I find that like an event where there's a smaller amount of people, you get to talk and connect to the people around lot more easily. And I way prefer small
thrive
events.
in those small intimate groups.
I really do. I just like I almost like get drowned, I feel, in like big groups because I feel like I don't have to make an effort.
Yeah, because like there's too many people for people to notice if you've contributed or not.
And I feel like if I don't need to make an effort, I won't.
Yeah. I'll just sit and talk to like Rowan.
Yeah. Rowan. But yeah, you don't actually get a chance to talk and connect to the people there, and you're almost like, just drowned out, and I just feel like
that's so true. I'm actually like I normally think it depends who the small intimate group is though, because sometimes I'll think like, oh, that's a small intimate group of people I don't know that well, so it's kind of like they're gonna all have something and then I'll be like feeling awkward on the side. But then there's some times where like you do just come out and you feel more fulfilled, like you've got something done, whereas I've left parties and kind of thought like I did nothing, like I spoke to no one, even though I did speak to people, but it was all just kind of like, oh hi, how are you, what are you doing now?
It was like small conversations with a bunch of people rather than like a big conversation with like a small amount of people.
It's less rushed as well, because if you see people at parties, everyone's like trying to get around to see people, so they kind of ask those questions of like, how are you, like what are you doing for work, and then kind of just get unsatisfactory answers, whereas if you're with a group you can kind of go into like stories and like
and
longer
like,
explanations, and you actually have more of a conversation.
You have the time to be like almost worried that you're going to have an awkward silence, so then you're coming up with more things to say instead of just like being comfortable with not getting into those like deep conversations.
That's true. Excellent.
Thank you.
That is I'm like embarrassed now by my other options.
No, tell me. No, to be fair, small intimate groups, I feel like people have already like catched on to that. It not being underrated.
It's hard to say though, because everyone, like some people underrate things.
So I just went to reach for my water glass and I completely reached the wrong way.
Ella just puffing air. One of them, this is just so cringe, but I was like, hugs.
Oh,
because like in a way, it's one of those things that you do like every day, and then when you think about it, it's like they actually like, and all the studies they've done, it's like they reduce stress, they relieve anxiety. It's apparently like if you have a hug a day for like this many minutes, whatever many minutes,
isn't it meant to be? It's meant to be a
like
2 minute
heart disease. So, I know, like they're
lowers
warm.
heart disease.
No, there's like things where like because like you're reducing your stress levels because it's like making you feel better.
Yeah.
It's actually better for your like all-round health, because then your blood pressure goes down and your heart's better, and
it's like Superman. Like a Superman hug.
Because they've made blankets now where it's like they're like weighted blankets, so it feels like you're being hugged when you sleep because it reduces stress. Yeah, no, I was thinking that. I was like, I actually want a weighted blanket.
I would love that.
And they warm you up. They're loving. They're cozy.
And also,
they're a greeting. They're a goodbye.
They're everything. You can comfort people in it. You can like make up over a hug.
And like it releases endorphins. It does stuff like to your body chemically that are like just I don't even understand, but then like there's also just nice like no,
it is true, because I feel like we don't do them as often anymore as well. At school, every time we said hello to one another or anyone else, it would be like, oh hey, hug, and then we'd go off to class and we'd be like, okay, bye, hug.
Like, it would just like hugging all the time. Whereas now nowadays, when people hug me, I normally kind of I get a bit like
tense.
Awkward.
I hugged one of my co-workers for the first time recently.
That's a step actually. Like, I think when hugging I don't know if I've hugged I've hugged colleagues.
Have you?
Yeah.
Because she commented on it. She was like, "Oh, we're hugging now."
When new people hug me, I always I like it because I'm like, we're friends
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
It's also kind of like scares me a little bit. My last one was custard. I think I was thinking last night, like, what's underrated? And I was eating custard. That might have influenced me. But I was thinking it's warm, it's sweet, it's like, it completes a meal as well. It's kind of like some people go for cream or like double cream on like cake or whatever, but I always just think custard is warm and it's just, cream's a bit like
too
bittery.
much.
Yeah, and a bit like gross.
It also reminds you of childhood.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's like nostalgic.
Yeah.
And like it's traditional, and I mean, it makes you think of like little old English boys' boarding schools and stuff. And like
I don't think of that, but
you should.
I think of like school dinners, like when you're really excited that you're having like the shortcake with custard on top.
Yeah, because like really, when you think about it at school, you would get this crappy bit of cake.
Yeah.
And then they put a load of custard on it, so it would kind
amazing.
of like kind of cover the fact that the cake was really like stale or like crap. But yeah, it can completely revolutionise a dessert.
It can change your whole day if you have some custard.
But I thought it was quite funny because I asked my like brothers like, what do you think are underrated things?
Yeah, I'm interested to see their take.
One of them, he was just like, a dog lead was just instant answer, and I was like, what? He's like, dog lead, because that way a dog can never run away. And I was just like, we don't have a dog for one. And that was just the
I was not expecting.
And then he followed it up by like, oh, the internet, and I was like, I think the internet's pretty well rated,
overrated. Almost.
Yeah, like if anything, I think the internet, and I mean, it's great having this access to all the information, but it's like
the negatives are sometimes overlooked.
Yeah, and like, I know we know so much more now, but sometimes it's not good, and people are always on their phone or the computers, and sometimes I feel like I get to the computer and I'm just like, there's so much I can know and research, and I don't know where to start.
Like how we did the Google deep dive last week. That was good because we had a goal of what to do.
Like a focus. Yeah, I really enjoyed that because I was like, oh, I'm learning. But like I get like overwhelmed by the internet.
Exactly. Day to day, I could be finding out so much, and I just scroll through. Shit.
I just look at the same crappy news feeds from people I don't know very well on Facebook kind of thing. But and then my other brother, I said, okay, what do you think things are underrated? And just instantly just went, Phil Mitchell's acting.
Phil Mitchell's acting?
You might not know this unless
Is he from EastEnders?
Yeah, a character from EastEnders. So the actor's actually Steve McFadden.
Yeah,
but
he's the bald guy.
Yeah, he's actually a really, really good actor. Like my family have said this for years, but it just made me laugh that it came to his head instantly.
Dog leads and Phil Mitchell.
These are very different men.
Yeah.
But like he plays a really good drunk, like because he plays an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Like he looks absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously probably do some like makeup to make him look a bit red in the face, but the way he does it, like I think drunk scenes can really like show an actor.
Definitely.
Sometimes, because like when I watch a film and someone's acting drunk and they're kind of just flopping about, and I just think, oh, this is awkward. So
you can tell.
Yeah. Whereas like Steve McFadden, he looks like he's genuinely been drinking for like 3 days straight, and apparently like, and I've seen him in interviews as well. Actually, he's just like a nice, quiet man normally. But then just the character is like not like him at all.
That's crazy.
I know. But I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, I 100% agree, because that man deserves an Oscar. Just like he just completely changes.
Actually, in Stranger Things recently, they had one girl actors who plays Natalie.
Is that the little ginger girl?
No. Her name's Natalie in real life, but she plays Nancy. She did a drug scene, and I thought it was really bad acting.
I was like, oh, she's having to pretend to be drunk right now, and it's not really working.
Is she a young actress?
You're quite young. I reckon she's maybe around our age.
Is Nancy the like old woman friend of the brunette girl, of the sister of?
She's not Barb.
No, that's who I thought you were thinking
it's
of.
Barb's friend.
I suppose if they're so young that maybe
The
they
old
haven't
woman
had a drink.
friend.
I was like,
I've never heard someone describe Barb like
Barb,
that.
like she dressed like a middle-aged woman, has
with her hair.
glasses, is like very sensible.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
The old woman friend.
I've only like 3 episodes into Stranger Things,
I know,
so
I can't believe that.
it's not hooked me the way I
No.
wanted it to.
I mean, I'm already like, I'm so hooked on even the second series now.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it, but
I noticed last night because I was watching like Transformers 5 or something like that, and like a lot of films this year or the last couple of years, they've had like little children in them, like groups of young children, rather than like I feel like when like It, Stranger Things, and that film.
Yeah.
And when I was like growing up, it was more like it would always be high school, so like 16 to 18. Mm-hmm. And then now it seems they're going for like 10 to 13.
Yeah.
And I don't think I
don't like
connect
that.
to them
Yeah.
as well, because like I'm just a bit like, oh, these are little annoying kids. Like
I feel like even when you were that age, you didn't connect to them.
no, exactly.
Like watching it.
Whereas like when they're a bit older, I just prefer it.
Yeah.
And so it does look, because like It again irritated me a little bit because the
haven't
kids.
seen that.
I don't think it's that scary, to be honest.
No.
And then Stranger Things again, it's just these little kids and.
Do you not like them? Because I think they're like the best child actors I've ever seen.
No, I think they're good actors, but it's more just like. It irritates me that they're like creeping around and they're helpless, and like when it's kids, I'm always just like, if any of this stuff happened to me, I would just straight away go to my parents and be like, Mum, there's an alien, like, blah, 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 like, but kids always like, we can't tell our parents, and they create this extra thing that they have to then like be sneaking around and like dodging the parents.
But in Stranger Things, I think if they actually told their parents, then 11 would be dead.
Yeah, I know, like
they're quite smart kids,
because they always have those parents that are like, shut up, Billy.
Yeah.
like
the
you
dad
gotta do your homework.
Mike,
and they're just really sensible. Whereas I feel like if they told Winona Ryder,
well, she, I don't want to give anything away to you.
I assume she knows now. Thanks. But no, I imagine she would be like the one that they would tell, because she's a bit like
she's
loopy anyway, and she's thinking her son's in the wall. Or
exactly.
But
she's the most crazy one out of all of them.
Yeah. So the next segment,
talking of Netflix,
we were actually looking through Netflix to find kind of like diamonds in the rough, things that like, because there's so much on Netflix. There's like a lot of Bollywood as well, I've noticed.
Have you? Did you watch any of them?
No, I do like Bollywood films though.
So do I.
But there's just so much sometimes, and I get like, again, overwhelmed. I'll just be like, I'll spend an hour looking for something to find to watch in this like hour I have free,
watching all the trailers of it.
And then I'm like, oh, I don't. Yeah. I've the time I now have, I should go to sleep because it's too late. But so we kind of both look for a few things and to
try and kind of find 3 things that we think are worth the
watching,
watch.
but are maybe kind of slightly underrated, not or overlooked, because there's like the big famous, like Stranger Things, and,
exactly,
the big titles on there. But
yeah,
start me off.
Okay, well, this one I started watching a week ago, and it's called Love, and I actually think it might be kind of known because it's by Judd Apatow. Yeah.
He does like This Is 40, and the Knocked Up,
like rom-com.
He's a big comedian, right? Like producer,
he's like king
and director,
of rom-coms, almost.
And he has a really hot wife.
That's
Leslie Mann.
I've not seen her, but his daughter is in this. Judd Apatow's daughter.
His daughters are in This Is 40 as well. And
really?
Knocked Up, the family.
Yeah.
The wife and the 2 daughters are actually his wife and 2 daughters.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, but they go well together because obviously they are related, so they look right.
That's the thing, this girl was like a really good actress, but I was thinking it's weird that I've never seen her in anything else apart from her dad's bit like TV show. And I've become really quite obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through the 2nd series already, and I started watching it.
How many episodes are there?
So there's 10 episodes in the first, and there's
episode length.
35 minutes.
Oh, I like when they're short episodes now. I used to hate it, but you get through them faster and
each episode is like they have a different kind of story going on. They're not like big storylines, but they've always got some like weird, like goofy humor in there. And basically it follows this love story of Mickey and Gus, and they're kind of opposites.
Are they 2 boys or?
No, girl and a boy.
Okay.
She's called Mickey. I don't know what her full name is.
Michaela?
Yeah,
Michelle.
maybe Michaela. Michelle. But it's like really realistic. That's what I loved about it. Like it shows, and it's not just concentrating on their love story, it's on their lives. They're both like, one's like 31, the other one's 32. And it's like that awkward stage of, we're not really young anymore. We should have our lives together, but we don't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a reassuring show because it's showing all of the characters have like stuff going on in their lives and it's messy, but it doesn't mean that they're miserable or that like they're failing as humans. It's just like realistic, and it still shows that they're having fun and an interesting life. And I love Gus. He's so cute. I keep doing like kind of rolls of him. He's got like this little mouth and like a huge nose, and he's like always squinty smiling.
Is he hot?
He's like Woody Allen hot. So no.
not.
I don't find him hot, but when you first watch it, because Mickey is like really hot, you're kind of like, is this realistic? Would they be together? But he's like charismatic, and you see how their like love kind of evolves, or their like relationship evolves.
Yeah, so I've just Googled him to see what he looks like. I get now why you said Woody Allen, just look him up if you're listening, because I would never ever be like, he's hot.
He's in my top 5.
He's creepy looking. But like, actually when he's him, he looks all right. In the character, he looks a bit interesting.
This thing he wrote he helped create the show, and you can tell because his character fits him perfectly.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's like you imagine that's just what he's like in real life.
Yeah. And
they also have great like sideline characters, like Mickey's roommate Bertie. She's really funny. I think you'll like her. And she's Australian. She's just moved there, and she's like awkwardly trying to make her way in LA.
Yeah.
And Gus has like a bunch of really weird neighbours as well who are really funny. I find it hard to describe how funny they are, but like one morning Gus wakes up and there's this like 35-year-old man who lives opposite him who's trying to be a stuntman, and he's been living in LA for 4 years and hasn't got a stuntman job, and he just throws his shoe at Gus's window, and he comes down and he goes, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And Gus is like, "Oh, not much, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just having breakfast." And then he's like, "You were with Mickey last night, did you fuck her?" Like screaming across this like courtyard. And Gus is like, "When you come over?" He's like, "No, I threw my shoe at your window, why would I want to come over?" It's just dumb. I find the humor, like, I've never seen anything like it, and the pace of the show is really like chilled out. It's like a nice vibe. Yeah, I recommend it.
I feel like secondary characters can make a program, because like sometimes when you have like a sitcom or something like that, and it's focused on like a small group, like Friends or something like that, or like Gavin and Stacey.
Yeah.
And there's the main characters that are always in it, but then I love the like little reoccurring, like I've been watching Gavin and Stacey again, and the which is also on Netflix, but that's not one of my
Nessa.
Oh, Nessa. oh, Merry Christmas. I can't do it. But what's I gonna say? It's Dawn and Pete.
Oh,
like,
I love
like
them.
the mums, Gavin's mum's friends, and they come in like, it's not every episode probably, but like every odd one, and their like relationship where they're just like, "You piece of crap," but they like hate each other. But then like there's that other bit where someone kind of like says something rude to Dawn, and then Pete punches in the face, like no one talks about my
and
wife.
Dawn's like, Pete.
Oh my Pete. They like walk off together, but like they just like they bring like so many like good
and
just
Doris.
lines, and Doris as well, the old lady neighbour. But they just bring like these little lines, these tiny little bits that are just so funny.
If they weren't in the show, like, because Gavin and Stacey, worst characters in the show by far.
They're so like drips.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't stand Stacey anymore because she's just like constantly excitable and happy, like, or she's just like, "Oh no, I'm sad." Or
I never really connected with Stacey.
That's lush, that is. Like overly happy and like excitable about little things. Nessa's a great character.
Yeah, but she deserves a better best friend. Like Nessa has put in all the entertainment work in.
Yeah, she's such a cool character. But then I'm like, her and James Corden wrote it, so they do make their characters like
the best ones.
The main characters.
They're like the straight men to the funny men, like Gavin and Stacey.
But
yeah.
Also, I like that you said about the like them being like
31, 32.
Yeah, because I like now that I'm like finished uni and like all that, I do in my head think like, oh, I should be really successful and all this, but what, like have a good job now. But then I do watch some programs, and I kind of like clock in more now that they're actually in their 30s, rather than I always used to think that they were like 20-ish because they looked young, and in my head 30 is like old.
I think like that's like when you're married, kids,
like Friends, 30. They were like late 20s to 30s. I remember is Mickey the one that's played by Judd Apatow's?
No,
because I was going to say his daughter's like 16.
No, his daughter, Gus is basically an on-set tutor, and so Judd Apatow's daughter plays the person that Gus tutors.
Oh, okay.
And she's like a young actress in the show.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my
shall I give it a rating?
Oh yeah, sorry. Out of 10.
So I gave this one an 8.2 out of 10.
Is that 8.2/5?
I know, I couldn't tell. So like last night I watched 2 episodes of it, and they weren't as good as the other 14 I've watched.
That's a letdown.
So it put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but it's still a great show.
Okay,
so
I'm going to go with the 8.2.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
me
had a
yours.
look as well, a little look through.
Yeah.
And one of mine, the first one is a film I watched a couple of weeks ago. It's basically called The Babysitter.
Okay.
There's more than one film on Netflix called The Babysitter, I found out last night.
I feel because I'm picturing about 9 films all in one.
I don't know if you watched it. It looks like quite like I was really reluctant to watch it because it was like looked like a very low budget horror film, and I was like, oh great, like another one of those kind of like awkward lines said when like someone stabs someone and they make some like really unwitty line, and it's just a bit like.
Who's in it? Is there any like famous people?
No, not really. It's like there's some girl, I think she's been in Neighbours or something. She's an Australian actor, and she's the main girl. So basically, it's like this teenage boy. He's got this like really hot babysitter, and his parents go away from the weekend, and he's alone, and she's looking after him. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night, and then he looks downstairs, and she's got like some friends round, and they're all doing like satanic all stuff, and then they kill someone, and then he's like,
my
oh my
God.
yeah, and like he's just like, what the. Like crap, and then
That
it's
already
just,
sounds like not anything I was expecting.
yeah, and then he's like trying to escape from this whole situation. But what I like is just like the way they've done it was like, I mean, it wasn't big budget, but it was like really well written, like the comedy in it, because they were taking the piss a little bit out of horror films and like all this
Like a satire.
Like there's a bit where like the hot guy is like walking towards him, coming to kill him. He's one of the friends that was like the friends of the babysitter.
Yeah.
And he like he's topless and he's like got a weapon on him or something like that. And then the kid's just like, why are you topless? And like he's tied up at another bit as well. And he's like, why do you not ever have a shirt on? And it's just so accurate because like all these films, there's always the hot guy, and for some reason there's an excuse for him to remove his
Jacob
top.
in Twilight.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I've got to take this. Got a little bit of oil on my shirt, and then it was just so accurate, and it was just so funny because it's like a young boy. He's actually a good actor, I think, as well. But there's other bits where they're just it's like making fun of the genre a little bit.
Yeah.
But also like playing into it.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, same because
Because you feel like you're in on this joke with them. Yeah.
And it's quite surprising. Like I didn't know it was going to happen. There's a cute little love story between him and this girl from school, even though he kind of fancies his babysitter. And even the relationship between him and his babysitter, who she's like, she doesn't really want to kill him, but she uses the blood of his blood because this links back to episode 1, the blood of like a virgin boy or something.
My God.
Or like or young, I can't remember, something about him being
So is
pure.
she like a witch?
I don't know. It's something where she's like lived forever, and she has some like old spell book that she kind of uses to like somehow use the blood, and then I don't know what do they do with it. It makes her like younger forever, or like be able to and beautiful.
This is very much like Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, it's that same thing of like they need some virgin blood to like somehow make their life better and live longer and get what they want. But and there's just a nice little relationship between them almost, because like she does like him and she does care about him, and she's also been using his blood for a while.
How has he been getting it? How has
just
she been getting it?
Well, I don't want to ruin it, but she just kind of she sneaks it.
Oh my God.
But I don't know, it's quite like, and it's got good action scenes and good like gore.
I'm intrigued by this. I would give this a watch.
It's kind of like a little coming of age story as well, because at the beginning he's getting bullied, and then at the end he's like the tough kid that like and
he's seen
and
some
faces
shit.
his bully. Yeah, he's just like. But there's a funny bit with his bully as well, the kid that keeps bullying him. I won't ruin it, but he just like in the first bit, the lines he uses and the way he makes fun of him is really funny, and then at the end, like the kid shows up like halfway through when like the climax, this bully, and he's just like kind of taking the piss out of him, and he's like, no, come on, please help me, there's like these people in my house, they're trying to kill me, and he's just like, shut up. And he just like he pretends like he's really interested, and then he just goes like, yeah, whatever, and then like walks away. But it's worth the watch. I think I liked it so much because I had such low expectations, but was like a satisfying watch.
But those kind of films at least are like the most satisfying views.
Yeah.
Like I always look for a show like that or a film when at uni, when you're sat around with your housemates, you want to watch something that's like not challenging.
Yeah, you don't have to think.
But surprisingly good.
Yeah, because it's like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But rating wise, I mean, it's not going to win any awards, but I would say for like how much I enjoyed it, a 7.2.
Okay, nice.
I don't know why you keep putting 0.2. I just saw that on your notes you put 0.2 on your last one.
It's more than a 7, less than a 7.5.
It's not quite a 5, but yeah.
Okay.
Have you got another one?
Yes.
We both looked at three each. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one I watched about a year ago, and I got like, I literally thought it was one of the best TV series I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've showed it to a few people since then, and they have not thought the same.
No, I can see what it is, and I've partly watched it.
Did you enjoy it?
I really liked it. So
Okay.
again, I lost track, and I can't remember what episode I'm on.
So I would have thought that you'd really love it. So it's called The OA, and it's again a Netflix original, and it's by Britt Marling. She created it. She's the executive producer, and she's the main woman.
Yeah, the blonde woman in it.
Yeah, Prairie Johnson. And I just found it so impressive. It like bent my mind. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. Basically the premise is Prairie, who's 25, returns home after being missing for 7 years. When she went missing, she was blind, and now she's not. And basically throughout the series, you find out what's happened to her throughout her whole life. Like, even before she's gone missing, she's had some crazy things have happened to her. And basically it's all about, it's questioning like human consciousness, like near-death experience. And basically it's talking also about how nowadays in society we don't communicate well with each other. Like we were saying about the hug thing, like people don't take the time to sit down and like connect with someone. And when she returns, she entrusts 5 people in her town to help her tell her story. And so she sits with them every night and it makes them all close their eyes, and she just talks about what's happened to her. And through that, they get a bond with what's going on in their own lives. Like they've all got stuff going on in their lives at the time. It's just really interesting, and it's like a thriller, sci-fi, and a romance.
Yeah.
It's got
Homer is the character's name. Yeah.
Homer,
Which he's the guy in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He's really hot.
He's very hot. What's his name? I think I've got it written down.
I can't remember.
Emery Cohen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's got Phyllis from The Office.
I love when you see the Office extras pop up. I've recently been watching things, they keep popping up, and I'm really happy. Like, they're still working.
They're still going. Because I thought The Office would be the last thing they ever did. And she's also Sadness in, what's it called?
The film with the different emotions.
Yeah. Inside Out. Inside Out, yeah. And a new guy called Patrick Gibson, and he's a spice, so that's enjoyable.
I recognise the name.
Yeah, he's Irish, I think, but he plays an American guy in that. Yeah, I think it is quite Marmite-y. Oh, it also has Jason Isaacson. You probably haven't.
Oh, he's Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah, Lucius Malfoy.
I love him.
Yeah, he plays a very strange character in it, but he's very good. I do think it's quite Marmite-y, but I think it had such interesting concepts in it. And at a time like when I was watching it, Trump had just got in, and I felt a bit like negative about the world, and it made this whole idea of like the magic of the world came back to me.
There's more than we know.
There's more than we know, like not just what's going on in human life. There's greater things to think about. It was very gripping because you're constantly thinking, how the hell did she get her sight back?
Yeah.
And like there's always something in each episode that you're like, I can't wait to find out how this happens. The ending is quite questionable. I think some people hated it. I thought it was really clever. I won't say what it is. And I was an emotional wreck. Like I was watching it, I remember I was watching it in front of my housemates, and I had my headphones in, and I was just bawling. I could see them like in silence, like crying with laughter and Snapchatting me. But yeah, and one thing I didn't like is her family life with her adoptive parents. It's kind of creepy. Like I find her adoptive parents, they're cute, but also, I don't know, it just left an odd feeling.
She's originally from Russia, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I can't remember how far I got through it, but I remember really liking it, and then for some reason I couldn't watch it for a few weeks, and I didn't pick it back up because it isn't an easy watch necessarily. I think it's one that does push your brain a bit, and I started being like, what is going on?
My housemate Saz recommended I watch it, and she was like, you're gonna love it, it's like one of the best things I've ever seen. And we both loved it, and then everyone else in our house was like, I don't get it. I don't. And that I'm very easily influenced influence. So I feel like my rating I've given it is influenced by other people. So if I was to say now, after getting hyped up about it, I would give it a 9.
Yeah, because I just saw that I can see Ella's notes.
Yeah.
So I do read ahead. But like, I can see it's a 7.8, and then I'm like, but you seem way more passionate talking about that than you did about love.
I think I'll give it a 9.
Okay. Ooh, so she's gone from 7.8 when she was writing this.
Yeah, but to be fair, I haven't watched this in a while, and
when you start recapping it in your head, it's like, actually, that was sick.
It was great. I got properly invested in that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me hear your second one.
My second one, so might not be so like, it's probably a bit more out in the media because it's like the Lady Gaga documentary.
Oh, you told me about this. I haven't seen this.
You haven't watched
it? No,
I recommended it. But I don't know, because I've seen it promoted a bit more than like other things on Netflix, but also I haven't seen that many people who've watched it. But it's called 5'2", and it's like a documentary about her life.
Is she 5'2"?
Yeah, I hope she is, because if she's not, it'll really annoy me. But I assume it is.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like her in the run-up to releasing her album, Joanna, I can't remember, and her Super Bowl performance.
Oh, yeah, but, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know, I kind of put it on as like a background watch, like I'm not going to really pay attention, but I got really into it because I love seeing like behind the scenes of like people making films or people producing an album, because I'm not really into music production. I have no idea what they do, but I'm just interested in seeing like the process of her like in the studio, and like they kind of just like hang out and then like do some stuff and then they record some music. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, seeing how she actually gets in it, like into that space.
To do it.
Yeah, but she's also just like really open. Like I think she's quite open anyway, but she's just like,
she's quite vocal about like mental health.
And all that stuff. So I think she was happy, like, or wanted herself to be seen like at her worst as well, because like obviously you see her with all these successful gigs and all these fans, but you also just see her like looking like a mess, and like because she's got some like persistent like pain problem in her body. I don't actually know what it was, but
there's a lot of celebrities that talk about like Selena Gomez has it as well, like lupus, and I don't know if
Bella Hadid and her mum and Selena Gomez have it.
Lupus.
But it's not lupus. It's not. Like some muscular thing, I think.
And Lady Gaga has it as well.
Yeah, but it's different to what. It's not lupus.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like some pain thing. So you see her like just like having these like massages, and she's just like in agony, and then like I think it's like pains in her bones or her hips and muscles and stuff.
I can't imagine what that kind of pain would be
like.
I know,
and then she has to like jump up and like do a performance. That's why she's like kind of stalled her tour, I think, recently.
Yeah, because I haven't really seen much of her like music or anything, or heard it recently, like any new stuff. But Lady Gaga is one that I would be so interested to watch a documentary about, because I find her like
character.
Yeah. She's like, I always think of yes, Gaga.
Yes. But and like you see, she does genuinely seem to like really like her fans, and like she'll come out of her hotel and like take pictures of them, and like I don't know, it's interesting seeing how involved she is, and like these little things that really aren't that important. Like she makes a big thing in her head. Like she gets a bit like, she's a bit obsessive, and she does sometimes get a bit irritating. Like there's like the lining of some like jacket that she was going to wear in a performance. She was like, I don't like it. I can't focus. Like I got to have it changed.
Really?
Yeah. And like she's like, the lining just is going to throw the whole performance off. And I'm like, you probably wear it for like 5 minutes of the thing.
And then you throw it off anyway.
Yeah, but there's other things as well. Like she's like getting high in like with some people, I think it's at the studio, and like she says something like they're talking about people have died or something, and then or Madonna, because she has a famous thing where like Madonna doesn't like her because people think that she copied her, and they say something like, oh, and that's what killed, and then she kind of looks at the guy and they kind of like go like, yeah, and like, yeah, and then like don't say anything else, they won't say anything else, and I'm just like, is it Michael Jackson? I'm like, I feel like it's something that people, a really famous celebrity, and they know something that we don't know, and that really annoys me, because they're like talking about it like they probably shouldn't have even said that, but because they're high, they're kind of like, yeah, you know.
I want to be in the inner circle.
I want to watch it back now and try and like see, because I don't know, I remember a time just being like, it's MJ.
It always comes back to Michael Jackson and the Russians.
But yeah, it's interesting. But
what would you give that one?
It's not amazing. Like it's not my favourite thing in the world.
I've heard people at where I work talk about it, and they said it was like a really like interesting watch.
Yeah, it's like I'm quite nosy. I like seeing like behind people's lives, and it's nice because like she could easily just paint this like facade of her having a perfect life, but she's breaking up with her fiance in the middle of it and kind of thing, and it just seems really more real, and it makes her like more likable even when she's being annoying, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's just a normal.
It's almost like I love Beyonce, but all of her documentaries and stuff show her to be perfect, and then
she's like, Beyonce, I just love laugh.
So then in a way it's like, can you be annoying a little bit so I can like see your
and like have a meltdown or something.
But exactly.
I put 6 out of 10.
Okay,
maybe 7.
Okay,
but
6.5.
6.7. 6.7 I'll go with, because I like putting a point in it.
Yeah, we love it.
It wasn't like amazing, but I remember being very happy to watch it.
Yeah,
like
you've spoken to me about it.
I've brought it up to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I talk about it a lot. Like more when I saw it, there was more things I was like, do you remember that
if it
bit?
stays with you, then it's a good.
But
yours have all been films.
It's a documentary, actually.
Okay.
A documentary film.
A documentary film.
But it's because a lot of the TV shows I watch on Netflix are like the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Because I don't like committing to a series unless I know it's good. Because
what is your favourite overall thing that you've watched on Netflix? Like big series that everyone has watched.
Does it have to be like something that's only on Netflix?
No.
Okay, because that's really hard. At the moment, I'm really loving It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay, is that on Netflix?
Yeah. Like it's like 12 seasons.
It's coming off of Netflix, isn't it?
Is
that
it?
the thing? You sound so
I'm like, of course. Well, I'm on the last series anyway.
I feel like someone said it's coming off of Netflix. It
maybe.
might be a different thing.
But it's just hilarious. Like, it's really good comedy, and I feel like I relate to it too much. But what's the other one? Peaky Blinders.
Okay, yeah.
Love Peaky Blinders. That's back on now as well.
That's one I need to watch.
But
Tom Hardy's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's like not even a big deal in
is
it.
he
Like
not?
he's not. No, let's forget about him. I like Tom Hardy, but
in the show he's not.
He's
relevant.
a bit annoying. Yeah. Well, he's a good character, but like people are like, oh, Tom Hardy's in that, and I'm like, he's not a main guy. The main guys are like Cillian Murphy. Just in case you couldn't hear. Hot. But he's like, he makes the show. He's like such a cool character, and like I got a Peaky Blinders coat recently because
I know the
like
coat.
the long coat.
Yeah, you look great in it.
Thank you. But like, and he's just cool, and I don't really normally like smoking, but he just smokes so cool, like because he's smoking.
Smoking hot.
But yeah, that's it.
Well,
have you got another? Netflix find?
I do. So this one is probably the one I liked the least out of the top 3, but I still think it's worth the watch. It's called American Vandal, and it's like a crime satire. And it's set in a high school, like a mockumentary almost of a real crime
I love
mystery.
mockumentary, yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. It was really like funny, and it surprised me at how funny it was. And it's the investigation into whether Dylan Maxwell has been wrongly accused for vandalising teachers' cars with dicks.
Yeah.
And if so, who is the real culprit? And you actually get invested. Like, it's all just a joke, but I was going on to each episode, like, I need to find out what's going on next.
Yeah.
Dylan Maxwell is played by Jimmy Tatro, who's the Vine. He started off on Vine on YouTube.
I recognised him.
Yeah.
I thought, is that Emmett from Twilight? That makes sense now.
He does kind of look like Emmett
it's
from
like
Twilight.
Kellen Lutz or whatever his name is.
Yeah. So it's played by him, and he's like a perfect character for the role. Like he kind of plays this like likable douche kind of.
Yeah.
And you don't want him to have done the crime. You get kind of invested in wanting him to, like, his name to be cleared. But what's so funny about the show is it plays on like modern culture, and using these references as clues to whether Dylan did the crime. For example, Alex Trimboli, he is like the only witness of the graffiti happening, and he says he saw Dylan do it. And so they're like testing his reliability throughout an episode, and they have a theory that he bullshits about things constantly for attention. As one day he stated he got a hand job from Sarah Peterson, who's like the most popular girl in school.
Yeah.
And so they like almost say, well, he's completely unreliable then. Like, that's totally untrue. But then he shows them a bunch of texts that Sarah Peterson sent to him on the night he had the alleged hand job. And this is how they talk about it in like really serious like terms. The texts she sent to him, hey, with 2 Y's, and they concentrate on the 2 Y's really closely. They're like, hey. It's like, you would only say 2 Y's if you were like into him. And so this is like a whole piece of evidence to say that he could be telling the truth. And it's silly, but you don't get attached to really any of the characters. And it is quite forgettable, but I really enjoyed it, watching it.
Yeah.
I just found it
I've
clever.
seen the little trailer for it, and I've always been tempted because it looks like completely different. Was it like, not in response, but like, I remember it came out around the same time or a little bit after Making a Murderer.
I think it is a response to that.
And I don't know if it's a little bit of like taking the piss of that.
I think it is taking the piss because their theory is that someone is framing Dylan to like making him a criminal. Like,
so I remember, I don't know if you said or someone said it to me that like, oh, it's kind of in reaction to that because it's like but on a way smaller scale. And I think it's so funny that it's like he's drawing dicks on cars.
And there's this whole thing about they look at his history of how he's drawn dicks, and there's like ball hairs on his, and on these other ones there is no ball hairs, so they're like it can't have been him.
You're making me want to watch it now because it sounds like stupid.
It's so stupid. It's just like ridiculous. And it is entertaining, and I just recommend it for the jokes. Okay. Like, it's not like ridiculously clever. It's just surprising.
Yeah, like kind of... sometimes they're the best things though, those like programs that really don't require much energy and like
it just put me in a
just
good
ridiculous
mood.
and it just seems a bit silly.
I just walked out like, life is funny, like
all those guys.
And I give it a 6.5 out of 10. So it's my lowest one, but it's still worth the watch.
Have you watched it all?
Yeah, the ending is like anticlimactic and a bit disappointing, but like I don't really know how they could have ended it.
Yeah, sometimes when they're bad endings, I'm like, fair enough, I wouldn't, how could you end that?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I was trying to find a third one, and I found it quite hard, because I was just like, the rest of the things I liked were like bigger, strange, like that kind of level of kind of famous. So I was trying to find stuff that has been more under the radar. But, so I just kind of like listed a few. I won't go into too much detail, but just like, I love a good 90s to 80s thriller horror.
Oh yeah.
But like, so there's one there that I watched years ago. So I don't even remember that much of it, but I remember just kind of being like scrolling through Netflix for ages and just being like, oh, I give in and just, I'll watch this. And I think I might have watched the YouTube trailer for it before. And I love when you watch a YouTube trailer and you know it's old because it is just like shots, like quick shots of different things happening in the film. And then that same guy's voice going like, when a killer comes to your town. And they like, it's the same man would voice all the trailers for like 10 years.
He must be so rich.
Yeah. And it's like, that's all and they don't really show any of the film. They just, which is better because I feel like now trailers reveal too much.
I know most things about a film before I go in,
And they just show a few shots and then that guy says like roughly what happens. But yeah, so I've watched a few on Netflix. There's a lot. There's good ones, but the one that I liked is called An Eye for an Eye.
Okay.
And it was in 1996, so
it's an oldie.
Good year.
That was when we were born.
I know. That's why I said good year. It's like a guy kills a young girl, and then the mother they find someone who they're like pretty sure it is him, but they like can't convict because there wasn't enough evidence. But then the mum kind of hunts him down. It's like a vigilante.
I love that.
Yeah, a vigilante crime thriller, and it's the bad guy is Keith Sutherland. So
what's he in? I recognise the name.
Is he his dad is the President Snow in the Hunger Games.
Okay.
But the thing is, they're like an acting family, so I can't remember which one's which. I think Kiefer is also in 24.
Okay.
I think that's him. But he was in a lot of films when he was younger. And Sally Fields. She's like a really famous actress. She won like 2 Oscars. Only other thing I can think of her in is she's the wife in Lincoln. She plays Abraham Lincoln's
Oh,
wife.
okay, yeah.
But she's a really good actress. But she's like this badass mom who's.
I love that
she's
it's a
got to
badass
hunt
mom.
down like.
It sounds
this
like
guy.
Taken, but like the female
Yeah,
version.
it's like kind of it is. It's and it's a bit too late, but it's good. And it was thrilling. And like I remember just I'll watch this for 5 minutes, and I like sat and watched the whole film. Like, wow.
I wish I didn't hate horrors because I really want to
It's
watch
not actually that horror. It's
Is it
more
not?
thriller, like action, like.
Okay, I love
It's not.
thrillers.
It's not like spooky. Like there's no ghosts kind of thing.
I might watch that actually.
It's
I
more
think I
just
will watch
creepy.
that.
Yeah, put it now. Another one that I really liked is Santa Clarita Diet. This is a TV series, not
Okay.
film. It's a TV series with Drew Barrymore. They're just like a normal suburban family, and they're like realtors. And something happens basically, and she kind of turns into a zombie. But
Drew Barrymore does.
yeah, but like it's like a functioning zombie, and I quite liked it because you get all these like cool things with like vampires, and you get like the hot vampires and the cool werewolf and Twilight, and they've all been made into cool characters, but you never get like characterized zombies or like mindless walking like.
Oh, so this one's like they've got personality.
Yeah, she's just like her normal self, except for like I think she's actually better because she's like she's getting like more things done, and she's got like more energy, and she's like stronger, and but she does eventually start like needing to eat humans, but she kind of tries to find solutions to like her cravings. But like her daughter and again it's the neighbor. There's like a neighborhood boy who's like really awkward, and he's like 14 and the same age as her daughter, and they all kind of get in on it eventually, and it's just so funny because like the little situations they get into, but mainly the neighborhood boy is funny because he's like awkward and just like fancies everyone.
Is there a romance between the?
Yes.
Yeah. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like that they kind of made zombies cool.
Yeah,
like they've done.
that's true. I'd never thought about that. How they've never had like a characterized zombie character.
I like that, and it is cool. Kind of like I quite like watching like American suburbia kind of things where but then you see inside of it because it's always like it looks really good on the outside, but then it's not always what it seems.
They're all just zombies on the inside.
That's another good one to watch.
Those two ones are like two I'm definitely gonna check out.
It is. They're good. Another one. Okay, this is my last one. But it's called Shut In, and it's Naomi Watts.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this one.
It's good. It's more of like a spooky thriller, but and she's at home, and there's like she's got a disabled son.
He is Stranger Things. Jonathan.
Is that the brother? The brother of the boy that goes missing.
No, the brother is the
I thought I recognised him. Yeah,
Charlie Heaton.
That's him. And then she's also got this young kind of deaf boy because she's a therapist, and he's one of her patients. But then there's a big storm, and for some reason he kind of ends up in her care for this like stormy night. But I don't want to ruin it because the best parts are the surprises. But it's really good. I like the setting of it. I always like kind of remote like. And it's like cold, wintry, and it's like you can't really get help, and and it's a real twist.
Isn't it? Because there's something I've seen the advert.
Ruin it now.
I don't know if the advert ruins
okay,
it.
This is the advert. Yeah.
Isn't it that he's jealous almost? The disabled son is. I don't know. It seems like he's.
There's some jealousy.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it there.
Okay.
But
what would you give those two?
Eye for an eye. I'll give 8 out of 10.
Okay, wow.
Santa Clarita Diet, or Clarita. Probably more like a 6.5. It isn't amazing. It's just another one you can whack on and like have in the background, and it's quite funny. Shut In, probably give like 7.5.
Okay, interesting.
I quite like that.
So
film.
what was your highest one of all of them? Was it Eye for an Eye?
The Babysitter.
The Babysitter.
Hadn't planned it to be that way.
But so your one was the Babysitter, and mine was the OA.
No way. Well, once you changed it.
Once I changed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next segment is we went online looking for uplifting news stories from around this time, basically.
Yeah. I started off thinking like, what's things that like kind of went under the radar in the news this week because all these
horrible things are happening.
Because news normally reports the horrible tragic stuff, and then you kind of miss these nice news stories. But then I kind of, the more I started looking into it, I kind of went into like 2016.
Yeah, anything uplifting, we just want to hear it.
Yeah,
you know?
just like good news stories and like nice little facts about the year.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Shall I give you one of mine?
Yes, please do.
So this one I love because I thought it was really goofy. And there's a picture of this principal that he just looks like the perfect kind of guy who would do something like this. But basically, in America, a principal of an elementary school lost a bet with his pupils where he said, like, oh, I bet you can't raise $20,000 for our school, like all the kids, by doing fundraisers. And he said, if you do, I will sleep on the roof for a night. So all these little kids managed, like, their families to fundraise $20,000, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. This is a middle school.
Elementary.
Oh, okay.
So, like, little kids' school. It's mostly the parents that, like, you can imagine.
But the kids were quite excited by it.
They were so excited, apparently. They were all, like, they all went off home to get the bus on Thursday. And the principal was on the roof, like, setting up a tent. And he had a lamp up there. Aww. And he was just, like, waving them off. And the kids were, like,
cute.
so hyped up. Yeah. And then throughout the night, all the families came and visited him to, like, make sure he was doing it, yeah. And also, like, give him pizza, bring him hot chocolate. There was one little family who came, and the little boy and girl brought him a teddy bear because they didn't want him to get lonely.
Aww.
And I just thought it was such a cute story. Like, there's photos of it. I might put them so they, like, flash up on the video so you can visualize how weird it was. But yeah, his name is Mr. Versilino.
Is that Italian?
I don't know. He didn't look Italian, but maybe. He has a history of things like this. It's like
a history of violence.
Yeah. He's murdered a couple of kids, but he's cute. He's, like, done lip syncing to Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. Like, he's eaten, like, chocolate covered worms. Like, basically all these incentives to get the kids to do fundraisers.
How old is he? Roughly.
I reckon, like, late 40s, early 50s. He's like balding.
In my head, I was kind of picturing a hot
young,
like 30-year-old guy,
like our soulmate. But yeah, he had a little cute quote, and it says, like, so many people think schools are just in the business of teaching, but it's a lot more than that. It's about building relationships and believing in kids, and that's done sometimes just by being silly and having fun. Aww, I thought it was cute.
That's so cute.
And that was on October the 26th that happened. So quite recently. Yeah.
Well, I looked at, so I've got, like, a few different categories. It's like the first thing that I have an Instagram that I follow, and I think it's called, like, Tanks Good News. But they just come up with little pictures, and it'll just say a little story behind it, and then, like, a few details, or like a news clipping. So there's, like, 3 that happen to be related to, like, celebrities as well. And, like, good things they've done. And I was like, oh, that's, like... And it made me see them differently. So, like, the first one, I saw a picture, and you got a picture of Bill Murray, and he's, like, stood...
I love Bill Murray.
And he stood, like, handing some stuff to people, and I was like, what's this? But so he went to a concert and apparently bought every single ticket at the concert, and then just turned round and handed them out to all the people in the queue behind him.
Oh, my God.
And, like... And there's a picture of him doing it, and you just kind of think, oh, that's just like a small but nice thing. Because, like, I think
for
a lot
him
of the
it
time,
probably wouldn't cost that much.
Yeah, and, like, a lot of the time, like, all these big charity things that celebrities do that are amazing for, like, the people in need. But then there's, like, kind of everyday people who, you know, like, are also really nice people, or have, like, do good themselves or work hard, might not have that much money, but they're not necessarily in poverty or, like,
some people
desperate.
Might have saved up for, like, weeks to try and get their concert ticket.
Yeah, and exactly, and, like, so it's like a little small thing just to do to the everyday person. I thought, oh, that's, like, a nice little
so
Bill.
sweet.
I don't even love Bill Murray that much.
Do you not?
Well, I don't really know him, but, like, I know he's really famous, and loads of people, like, idolise him.
I think he's, like, a bit of a weirdo, but I like that.
Yeah. And the other one was Roger Federer has apparently spent 13.5 million to build 81 preschools in Malawi.
Oh, wow.
And, like, there's a pictures of him with all the kids and, like, being silly with them. And I was like, I'd never heard that. Like, normally when you get, like, a rough idea of the celebrities that, like, do a lot for charity. Like, you hear that, like, so-and-so gave this. But I just, like, I was like, that's really nice of him. Like, he obviously... I never realised how much tennis players make, but they do make a lot of money when they win. And especially, obviously, he's won, like, Wimbledon and all the Grand Slams and
also
stuff.
sponsors of the, like...
But I just thought it was nice seeing that, like, the number, like 81 preschools.
That's crazy.
I know, like it's a lot.
If you think about how many kids are going to each preschool.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's like his personal wealth as well. It's not just necessarily money donated from other people to a foundation from him. And the last one, and it kind of links to last episode as well, because I looked into Bill Gates and I said, I know he does a lot of charity stuff, but I didn't know specifically what he does. But apparently recently Bill Gates has pledged 100 million to help fight Alzheimer's.
Oh, so I saw that one as well.
Yeah, and Alzheimer's like research society, or there's like, I can't remember what the actual charity's name is.
His family got Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I think it was like personally, and he just wanted to try and help, and he's Bill Gates, so he's going to just give 100 million, and
because he gets 7.8 million. 100 million though, that's a lot.
But I think it's a few different charities like that do different research and different help for Alzheimer's, so it's not just one thing. Yeah, but I think I think half of it is going into like research to find a cure, and then the other bit go to like different related charities, so like support and stuff.
Because if we think like someone we know might, like, I could get Alzheimer's when I'm older.
No, like most likely.
Most likely.
No, but Alzheimer's, like, it's on the because we're living so long now. That's the thing, is like people used to die.
People's brains are going to stop
different
before
things.
Other organs.
Yes, because we're like living so much longer, and our brains are they weren't made to live as long as I think we are. So like the brain, like other parts of the body, just starts to kind of give up. But it is a fact that like because of that, that's why Alzheimer's is on the rise so much, and it's going to be like the disease of our generation and stuff. I think it's sad when it gets to the point where they don't remember anyone, and they can't remember how to function, like to like brush their own teeth and feed themselves. But
it's almost when like it would be scary, like remembering snippets, and then like how in The Notebook when she like starts to remember her husband, but then she forgets again, and she's like, wait, no, get off me, and it's just like, it just seems very stressful.
There's a good Louis Theroux documentary actually where he looks at like I think it's called like Extreme Love, and he looks at like autism and then like dementia, and it is just like really interesting, like looking at the different tests and like the different levels and the different, because there's lots of different types. There's like Alzheimer's, there's what's a bigger one, dementia, but and all that different stuff. So, and just looking at the different types and how it affects people differently. And then some people, they kind of forget themselves, but they're still really nice people. And there's like an old guy, and he's got his wife, and they've been together for so long, and he still loves her, and like she's kind of not really with it at all anymore. But then every now and then she'll snap back into it and be kind of like, oh, I love you. And it's just so cute, and it's like worth all that just to like
for that moment.
Little cute. Yeah, that's another watch. I think it might be on Netflix as well, actually.
Oh, okay, that's another one. Okay, that's because I feel like we got negative.
We're going down
now we're getting positive again. Okay, so is that your ones?
I've got more, but you go. Okay, you give me another.
So in Philadelphia, a man called Brennan Jones dedicated his life to giving homeless people haircuts on the streets of Philadelphia. And he, in the last year, he's given like 1,000 already. So that's like a lot of haircuts, like in a day.
Yeah. In a year.
No, but like in a day.
Oh, he must do every day.
Yeah. Because, So
must do like 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah, exactly. And he said it was a mission from the heart, just something that he'd like decided one day that he wanted to dedicate his life to. And this guy called Sean Johnson noticed this guy's work, and he ran a barbershop himself and was planning to expand in Philadelphia, open another shop. But once he met Brennan Jones, he decided to give him this new barbershop that he was going to rent, like that he was going to expand with for free, and just say for the winter months, do your work here. And so like it's basically a free business for homeless people. And like from the generous of these two strangers.
Yeah, it's like different. Like the guy with money it's nice to see people doing what they can with what they have. So like that one guy might have not had money, but he had like the ability to do barber skills.
Yeah, exactly.
And then another guy had money, so he could help in that way.
I thought that was just a cute...
I think I might have seen something like that. I saw a picture of some guy giving haircuts on the street.
Yeah, there was a lot of pictures that like, you probably did see that one.
Sweet.
Yeah, uplifting.
Yeah.
A bit of uplift there.
Much better than dementia.
Yeah.
I like just kind of looked at some points as well, like of good things that happened in 2016, because like I think people tend to remember a year for like the wars or like the elections or the like
Brexit, all of that
yeah,
stuff.
they'll be like, that's the year of this.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, and I remember seeing things before about like, you know, all like a list of all these like good things had happened when people were like concentrating on the bad stuff. So I tried to find the same list, but it's just a few.
Oh, I'm excited.
So child mortality was down and apparently keeps going down. So I think it's been down for the last 2 years. Tiger numbers are growing. So in 2010
tigers.
it was 3,200 and now we're up to 3,890.
So we got 690 more.
Good maths. Indian volunteers planted 500 million trees in 24 hours.
Wow. How many volunteers, Sarah?
I don't know. 50 million.
Oh,
did I say? Yeah, 50 million. Male suicide rates are down.
That's crazy. I would have thought, because I reckon that's because of all the support that's been out recently with like what's it called, like Menkind and mental health support.
It's also, I think it said like the first time since the economy crashed, because I think for men a lot of it
was like ego for that, like
like to do with money and like losing their business and stuff like that. So and I think it was specifically a lot better in the age group of like middle-aged men.
Really?
And then also HIV. They're really close to a HIV cure because they did a trial on a British man, and he no longer has the virus. So
it's like gone.
Yeah, so he was like the trial subject, but they did like a few different things to him, and then now he no longer has the virus. So if it stays that way, then they've pretty much found a cure for
paid thousands as well to be a trial patient, and he's also now not got AIDS.
Or he probably might not have got paid for it, to be honest, because a lot of time with medical trials, it's just like when they've got nothing left, like
so
desperation.
Oh, okay.
So they just say like, look, you can have this trial, but you might not die, like because they haven't tried on humans. It's kind of like a risk. I don't know though. I didn't look into that side. Yeah. I think having AIDS or not having HIV enough.
It's a good enough prize.
The Ice Bucket Challenge raised so much money. I can't remember how much it was, but they've made like breakthroughs in the ALS research, and so they've actually like identified the gene.
Wow.
That like causes the illness. So like once they identified it, like it's a lot easier to cure it.
Come up with a cure.
It's like that whole fundraising thing that was going around for ages. It didn't kind of just like disappear. Actually, like the money was raised and they then were able to do something.
Wow.
And I think that's nice because quite often you see things with charity, especially like cancer research, and you think like, how is more money going to help?
Yeah.
Like they either know it or they don't. But it is like if you just have the more money and more man hours, and like it does actually make a difference when they can, because that was within a year. So they raised the money, and because they had that money, they were just able to do it like so much faster.
So many people we know did the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
Like, so it was like literally going on for ages, and to think like that trend that started off on Facebook, that everyone was like, oh, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Actually made a difference.
Yeah. But those are my little 2016 roundup. There was another. What was the other fact that I didn't write it down, but I remembered it, and I was like, "That's a good."
There's a lot. If you look out there, there's a lot of things. Actually, there was one I saw. I found it cringy, but I thought it was like a funny story too. It was about a woman who was like obsessed with Tom Hanks, and she went to like a book festival, and he was doing a talk, and she like sat in the front row, and she'd been a huge fan of him for ages, and she'd been planning like her question to him, and it just got to the bit where, and she was sat next to her fiance, it just got to the bit when he was like rounding up the questions. He was like, oh, I've just got one more that was sent in to me, and she was like upset. She was like, oh, I don't get to ask him my question.
Yeah.
And then the question read out, and it was like, this is from the fiance's name. He says to the woman's name, I can't remember what it said. I think I wrote it down. Nikki says, Nikki Young, will you marry me? And then she turns around and her fiance's on one knee next to her, and then Tom Hanks comes and gets them both and like puts them on stage, and it's kind of awkward because Nikki is like more interested in Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's probably thinking Tom Hanks is proposing.
Yeah, yeah, she keeps like being like, thank you for everything, and just like crying her eyes out, like. But it's quite cute, and Tom Hanks is just like gives them a big hug. It's a bit awkward and weird, but it's like a nice.
But it's cool that Tom Hanks actually
did something like that.
I'll help this guy propose. That's a good proposal. If she's like obsessed with Tom Hanks.
But I feel like if someone I was obsessed with, like if my future husband proposed to me through like I don't know, an actor I was obsessed with, I would just feel awkward. And,
Yeah, no, I would hate that.
Yeah.
Or in public. I'd
Yeah,
just be like,
exactly.
no.
Yeah.
Last one. I just wanted to say this because
Okay.
it's relevant to this week, but because I woke up to it and it was like on my BBC News app this morning.
Oh, yeah.
But there's been like a British explorer who's missing. I don't know if you heard that.
No.
He'd been missing for, oh God, how long was it? I think since Sunday, so like almost a week. And he was dropped by helicopter into like a really like remote part of the jungle
Why?
in Papua New Guinea because he's an explorer.
Oh, okay,
And I
yeah.
love the fact that there's still explorers and there's still things that we don't know. To like in search of this like remote tribe that he'd like first discovered like 30 years ago. And he had no phone and no GPS with him because he was like didn't want technology to like get in the way. But then like apparently today he was sighted on an airstrip, like asking to be like rescued. Like he seemed well, but like he was asking for like to help him get out of there. But
How long has he been missing for?
well, they expected him back on Sunday. So it's not that long, but
Yeah.
because like there's no trace of him and he's going somewhere very dangerous
Yeah.
to go talk to a remote tribe, and like they could have just killed him when they saw him because if they're not used to other people, this other guy
Exactly.
walking in, they'd just be like, crap.
Who are you?
But apparently I was reading into it, and then his sister said some quote of like, oh, he could have taken a phone with him, like so he wouldn't like we wouldn't have to worry, but he's against phones in that way. But,
It's like 127 hours.
yeah, and then she's like, and it's the second time he's been missing. So like, I don't think they were like,
you'd learn.
yeah, I don't think they were like overly worried that like, but obviously it is quite a risky job. But I just thought it was nice as well, thinking they're still like old-fashioned explorers,
I
and
think
there's
that's
still
the thing that
parts of our world that we don't know.
That's the most uplifting thing, that there's someone who's an explorer out there.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be an explorer.
I liked the principal,
The principal one.
like that. It's just a nice little good guy principal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
I
was
like that
happy.
one too. That was nice.
Well, that brings us to the end.
That was a warm hug and a cup of cocoa.
Yeah, I feel a bit. I can't stop smiling now.
Yes!
And it's making me feel strange, but I feel happy. I hope it makes you guys feel happy.
Yeah, I hope you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Like a hug.
Which is underrated.
But thank you for listening again.
Yes.
Please keep listening.
Yes, always.
Voice broke there. But yes, I've been Sarah.
I've been Ella.
Goodbye.
Bye.